going on, everybody? Doing a quick update from the PCT from north central Washington. We're about 200 miles from the border. I haven't done any videos lately. Honestly, I've just been exhausted. We've been really pushing through here. Still been trying to do the same mileage through Washington, 25 to 30 miles, but the terrain's brutal. I haven't seen anything with this elevation profile since the Appalachian Trail. Just kind of goes straight up, but it's been absolutely beautiful. The Cascades are amazing. It's a little rainy this morning, kind of overcast. Ironically, we've had nothing but blue skies and sunny days since we've come into Washington, because that is absolutely not what it's known for. But I think the rainy season kicks up a lot more generally in September. I'm not complaining though. I think I'd rather have the heat than the rain. But like I said, the climbs have been really brutal. We've started to hit this really rocky terrain the last few days. Southern Washington actually wasn't that bad. It was more like Oregon. It was pretty easy going. Did see some pikas in all this rock stuff. They're like a little rodent. Make some really weird noises. We camped around them last night. We're going into Stevens Pass today. As far as stops, not a lot's happened. There's not many places to stop in general. We went into Cascade Locks, obviously. I think that was my last video. It's been several weeks. When we came out of Cascade Locks, there was a huge bubble of people because there were fires in Northern California and Oregon. We took a few zeros in Stevens, which is just on the other side of the river, very first town in Washington. And when we went in, there was people we knew that we camped with on the Cascade Lock side, mostly people that started at Campo and had walked all the way up. When we came out a few days later, the size of the bubble had about tripled. And by bubble, I mean just a group of people in one area. That's what they call a bunch of hikers in a general area. But the amount of people got insane just over a couple of nights of people skipping. I assumed people would skip around the fires because there were hundreds of miles open in Oregon. That's not what they did, and that's fine. Everyone's got to make their own decision, do their own hike. I personally wouldn't really want to skip 25% of the trail, but that's what happened to us. So we got the massive bubble of where most people were just came all the way up to us in Cascade Locks. They skipped like 500 to 700 miles. So I would say 2 out of 3 people that we're hiking with now actually are people that had to jump the fires. Probably only about a third of them or so are people we've been hiking with, or people that started early enough to miss the fires. That's actually why we started early. We knew we were going to hit snow in the Sierra, which we did. There's a lot of downside to starting early, but we did it so we didn't have to skip. And I just feel lucky and blessed that I made it through the fires. We were about 10 days ahead. People were checking on me, and yes, I'm fine. We weren't really close to any major fires until we got to Washington, ironically. But Washington has fires that kind of normal this time of year. We were actually staying at White Pass, and there's a ski resort right across from it. And a helicopter just came down right across the street, about 200 feet from us, and filled up water from the closed ski resort to go douse a fire. Apparently they get a lot of idiots this time of year that let campfires get out of control and stuff. So we had a fire like 13 miles from us, but I asked people around me that kind of lived in the area, knew what they were talking about, and they pretty much said, don't worry about it. Actually, one guy told me I was hiking fast enough, I'd stay ahead of it, which I kind of thought was a joke, but I realize now he wasn't actually joking. They're really good at controlling them. So shout out to Washington Forest Service, whoever controls those. They douse them out really fast when they get called in. I'm not used to that. I'm from Tennessee. we don't have just a helicopter on patrol to go douse fires. So that's been interesting, seeing a helicopter land, seeing all the fires around. Unfortunately, we're in a huge bubble now. The solitude was great most of the trail, and I thought that I could hike through the bubble because we just have better trail legs, because we've done 500 more miles or so than a lot of these people. So we just kept passing dozens of people every day trying to find open campsites at night. But then I realized after talking to some people that the bubble was much larger than I realized. Some people jumped all the way to like central Washington. So the fact is, I'm just stuck in a huge bubble to the end of my hike, which was another reason I started in March, was to avoid the bubble. But what are you gonna do? People got caught in fires, a lot of people here. White Pass was amazing. If you are thinking about doing this trail, it's considered one of the best stops in Washington, but I would argue one of the best stops on trail. The people there were nice. It's got everything you need there. Free camping out back. You can get a package there. That's actually where we knew the bubble was getting really bad, because I watched a truckload of boxes come into White Pass for one day's worth of deliveries. And when I say truckload, I literally mean a pickup truck full of hiker boxes, resupply boxes, and the seats were filled. So we were on the fence, maybe thinking about staying that day. We were like, we're leaving. So we got out of there. I think we stayed ahead of the bulk of it. Like I said, we just got a little better trail legs, a little better condition at this point, which is nice. But yeah, Washington's been beautiful. The Cascades have been great. The hiking is pretty brutal. I would not advise doing this trail southbound, because it's sort of like the AT. You go right out into these killer mountains like you do in Maine. You do the same thing in Washington, but even more so on the PCT. I think it was originally meant to be a Sobo trail, southbound trail. I wouldn't do that now because of fire season. You're not going to avoid it. The best thing you can do to avoid it is to start early. You're gonna hit snow in the Sierra. You have two options there. You skip around that bad snow in Sierra, which some people do, and go back. Or you start early and try to get around it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I just saw a hawk. But yeah, I would not suggest doing this trail southbound. You're gonna hit fires. You're gonna hit fires going north, but if you start early enough, you could probably avoid them. Although I don't even know if that's true anymore, because we started early and we're only 10 days or so ahead. People that actually started before us hit the fires just because their pace wasn't quite there. So unfortunately, I don't know how many years you'll be able to basically hike this whole trail the way we have. So I consider that a gift. We'll see how it goes in the future. I really hope that things tamper down for people out here. Washington seems to have it pretty under control, but Oregon appears to be almost as bad as NorCal used to be as far as these fires getting out of control. They've gotten so good at putting the fires out that everything gets wild, but not much has changed. I did want to do an update. I don't think I'll actually get to post this until possibly I'm finished. I'm under 10 days until I'm finished. It's really a really bittersweet feeling to be out here pretty much every day. I want to be done. My joints hurt. My body hurts. I'm depleted. I can't get enough calories in. I just damaged my second tent for a second time. This trail's been rough on my body, rough on my gear, but then I have other days where I get to see things like this all day long. So I have to take a step back and remember just how absolutely beautiful everything is. It's kind of unbelievable to wake up to things like this. I get to camp under waterfalls. I camped under Cathedral Peak yesterday, and these things are just regular occurrence for me. So while the hiking may suck and my knees may hurt, the mosquitoes may be pretty awful. And God, they're awful. I thought mosquitoes were bad in the South. You ain't seen nothing till you've been to the Northwest. But yeah, the mosquitoes are terrible, but it's just incredible to get to do something like this. And people ask me all the time, do you think I would like it? Should I do it? If you're even thinking about it, I would suggest coming out here, because you do get to walk through stuff like this. It's not for everybody, but at least you could say that you got out here and figured out that it wasn't for you. A lot of people prefer just to do small parts of these trails, and there's something to be said about doing that. It's a real nice way to enjoy it, because you can pick out the sections you want to do. For me personally, I definitely wanted to try to do this entire trail. I think it was worth starting early. Again, I just want to reiterate that. People, I think, were surprised because they thought, oh, well, you're not from somewhere with snow, you're not going to enjoy that. The snow wasn't my favorite thing, but the fact is I got to stay ahead of this fire, and like I said, 2/3 of these people have had to jump around, and truthfully, they'll probably never get to come back and do Oregon. It's just difficult. It's difficult enough to come out and try to do this trail, but to come back and do a section, most people never get to do it, and I'm very happy I stayed ahead of the fire. So a lot of things to consider for the Pacific Crest Trail. One of the advantages of the Appalachian Trail is that you don't have to worry about the weather. It's pretty much open all year long. So there's a lot of trade-offs to each trail, but it's been a lot different this time around. I am ready to be done. Like I said, there's a big part of me that's ready to be done. I did finally catch some fish in Washington, so it was worthwhile carrying the pole through all 3 states. I will say the fishing on the West Coast is better than the East Coast, at least from my experience. Being up in these alpine lakes is pretty amazing. The mosquitoes are worse, but all the lakes are like blue and clear. It almost looks fake. I spend a lot of my days thinking a lot of stuff looks fake. But yeah, we're up here at Stevens Pass. White Pass was really the only stop I've had other than the hostel. There was a Washington Alpine Club hostel. Almost forgot about that. That hostel was amazing. Highly recommend it too. While there haven't been many stops in Washington, they've all been incredible. I've only had a couple of showers. Been a little dirtier on this trail. Just kind of pushing. It's less convenient to get off. The only reason I'm even going into Stevens Pass is to pick up a package. And from there, Stehekin's the last stop. None of these towns are really towns if you look them up, but there's a spot to get a package, sometimes get a shower. I'm gonna top off my battery bank there, and it's crazy, but I only have about 10 days left. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm really close to finishing this. You can tell I'm breathing hard because these climbs are so high. Even after almost 5 months of hiking, they kind of kill me. So I think that's about it. I think I'm gonna sign off here. It's been real. It's a little weird. I'm trying to conceptualize the fact that it's all winding down. Trying to enjoy my last few days. I know it looks dreary on the video, but I'm not getting killed by the sun. People have kind of made fun of me because I've gotten pretty notorious for being one of the latest sleepers on trail, but at this point in time, I can get about 25 done sleeping 3 or 4 hours later than some people, which is wild to think about. Hopefully I stay in better shape this time. I'll let myself get out of shape pretty quickly after doing the AT. Everyone's asked me if I'll do the CDT, and I guess we'll see. I feel like at this point I've got 2/3 of the Triple Crown trails done, and you know, why not? At this point I'm thinking, why not? I really love this. A lot of days are brutal, but I think I love this more than anything I've ever done. And I would suggest you give it a try if you're thinking about it. So if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I know my videos are few and far between. They're raw, uncut. The editing sucks, but you get what you get. You get a hiker out here who's doing it and making videos when he can. I feel like a lot of people focus more on the videos than the hike. I skip making a video at Crater Lake, so stuff like that's probably why my YouTube channel will never make me famous. Because you know what? I decided I'd rather sit at Crater Lake and drink a beer than to make a YouTube video. So that's about it. Signing off from Washington. I think my last video will most likely be from the Canadian border. Under 200 miles this morning. All right, peace out till next time.